Okay, if you have your Bible, please turn to 1 Samuel chapter 17. We have been looking at the life of David, and this, I'm not sure how long this will take. We're spending time several ways, looking at some chronological things, and then over the next few weeks, grab some Psalms that he wrote. So we're just going to look at different things. I've just been fascinated with him in my own private study, and just wanted to share some of that with you. So I mean, to me, of course, I couldn't see if you were having trouble getting in or out, but the little giving time was just really special. Man, I could tell by how you came. So we'll see how that continues to go. All right, are you there yet? 1 Samuel chapter 17. This is a familiar story, and I had originally wanted to get into chapter 18 because of what I wanted to say, but as I kind of plotted through this, I'm not sure that we'll get there today, but we'll see. All right? So, chapter 17. Now the Philistines gathered their forces for war and assembled at Soko in Judah. They pitched camp at Ephes-Dammim between Soko and Azekah. Saul and the Israelites assembled and camped in the valley of Elah. Okay, now remember, Saul is the king, the king of Israel. The Philistines occupied one hill, and the Israelites another, with the valley between them. And a champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out of the Philistine camp. He was over 9 feet tall. He had a bronze helmet on his head and wore a coat of scale armor of bronze weighing 5,000 shekels, which is 125 pounds. Okay? On his legs, he wore bronze greaves, kind of like shin guards, and a bronze javelin was slung on his back. His spear shaft was like a weaver's rod, and its point weighed 600 shekels, which is 15 pounds. So the point of the spear weighed 15 pounds. His shield bearer went ahead of him. Goliath stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel, "Why do you come out and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine, and are you not servants of Saul? Choose a man, have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects." By the way, this is the very first trash talker. Okay. It's like Ocho Cinco on stun, or whatever. Okay. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects and serve us. Then the Philistines said, "This day I defy the ranks of Israel. Give me a man and let us fight each other." On hearing the Philistines' words, Saul and all the Israelites were dismayed and terrified. Okay, stop right there. Remember, back in chapter 10, we looked at this. We don't have to go back there. Let me see, refresh your memory. Remember when Saul had just been named the king, and they went looking for him, and he was hiding in the bags? Remember that? It's chapter 10. Just jot these verses down. You can look on your own. Chapter 10, verses 16, verses 21 and 22, and then verse 27, all allude to Saul hiding. So it's moved now from Saul being alone, hiding, and now, because of his deal, now the whole country has taken on his personality and his character. Listen, leaders, the people that you lead will take on your personality. They will take on your strengths and your weaknesses. Husbands, dads, your family will take on your character and your whatever. So here's Saul, and now we see Saul hiding 7 chapters ago, and now the whole country are all dismayed and terrified. Okay? Now, David was the son of an Ephrathite named Jesse, who was from Bethlehem in Judah. Jesse had 8 sons, and in Saul's time he was old and well advanced in years. Jesse's 3 oldest sons had followed Saul to the war. The firstborn was Eliab, the second Abinadab, and the third Shammah. David was the youngest. The 3 oldest followed Saul, but David went back and forth from Saul to tend his father's sheep at Bethlehem. For 40 days, the Philistines came forward every morning and evening. The Philistine, talking about Goliath, came forward every morning and evening and took his stand. Here we are 40 days later. For 40 days, he had stood there, and Saul and the Israelites shook in their boots. See, the longer we postpone dealing with Goliath, the bigger he gets and the smaller our faith shrinks. The longer we put off dealing with our enemy, whatever that is, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you have a Goliath. And here we are 40 days later, and now he's not 9 feet, he's 90 feet in their eyes. And they have shrunk. Remember when Moses sent spies over into Canaan to spy it out? And remember, he sent 12 spies, one from each tribe. Remember that? And he sent them and goes, okay, find out what it's like. And they come back and they've got their report, and these 10 are going, oh, we can't do it. No, we're like grasshoppers in their sight. And here's Joshua and Caleb coming back. They got this pole between them with these big grapes on them. No, this is what's there. Let's go get it. So that's the difference in that whole thing. But so the picture here is, as they've not dealt with Goliath in their minds, he's become bigger than life. And so for 40 days, all right? So they have, let's keep going. Now Jesse said to his son David, take this ephah of roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread for your brothers and hurry to their camp. Can you remember, David has just been anointed by Saul. Remember the Bible talk, we looked at this last week. The Spirit departed from Saul as the king. I mean, he still thinks he's the king. But God had set it up, remember, because Saul disobeyed. He did something he shouldn't have done, and God said, no more. And so Samuel came and poured oil on his head, remember, anointed him. So here is the true king, and what's he doing? He's serving. A king serves. Okay? Not himself. He serves others. Whereas Saul was self-serving. Okay? Take along these 10 cheeses to the commander of their unit. See how your brothers are, and bring back some assurance from them. There was Saul and all the men of Israel in the valley fighting against the Philistines. So early in the morning, David left the flock with the shepherd, loaded up and set out as Jesse had directed. He reached the camp as the army was going out to its battle positions, shouting the war cry. Israel and the Philistines were drawing up their lines facing each other. It's almost like, okay, I mean, it describes it, but we know what's going to happen. The Goliath's going to, they draw these lines, but they've done this for every day for 40 days now. Okay, they weren't really going to fight, because the Israelites were afraid. So David left his things with the keeper of supplies, ran to the battle lines, and greeted his brothers. As he was talking with them, Goliath, the Philistine champion from Gath, stepped out from his lines and shouted his usual defiance, and David heard it. When the Israelites saw the man, they all ran from him in great fear. Okay, so now for 40 days they were just afraid, and now they're running away in fear. Verse 25 says the reason. Now the Israelites had been saying, there's the reason. Okay, don't keep going. The Israelites had been saying, see, the reason, here's what happened. They had rehearsed their fear over and over and over until in their minds it was now a fact. Listen to me. We walk in what we speak. That's why when we were worshiping, when those songs, that's why we have to learn those. Some people go, why do we do this chorus 4 or 5 times? Why don't we? It's because it gets you learn it and it gets in you. So throughout the week, you can be singing things like we sang this morning. Today is the day. I'm going to rejoice and be glad in it, and so we walk into what we speak. And so they had been speaking their fear, and Goliath's so big, and we're not, and so they rehearse it over and over and over. And so instead of facing their fears, they just let it run roughshod over them. If you call yourself something long enough, I'm just saying, let me just get out there. You call yourself a failure long enough, guess what? Okay, did you fail? Maybe. But that doesn't define you as a failure. But what we say things, we speak things. I'm not trying to be Zig Ziglar here, okay? But it's the truth of the Word of God. We keep saying things, and and then we walk into that very thing that we've said about ourselves, okay? All right, let's keep going. Now the Israelites have been saying, okay, so David has just heard this. He's heard it for the first time, all right? Now the Israelites had been saying, do you see how this man keeps coming out? He comes out to defy Israel. The king will give great wealth to the man who kills him. He will also give him his daughter in marriage and will exempt his father's family from taxes in Israel. All these little perks. If somebody will ever take him on. These perks just keep adding and adding and adding. And David asked the men standing near him, what's going to be done with this man who kills? What will be done for the man who kills the Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? Can you hear the difference? Can you hear the difference in how they see? The whole deal sees, Goliath. They see fear. They see who he. And David goes, who is this? What that means there, this uncircumcised Philistine? He's saying, who is this guy? He doesn't have a covenant. He's not in covenant with anybody. Who is this? Y'all are chicken of him? He doesn't see a 9-foot guy. He sees an enemy. You see the difference? David did not see in the natural. He saw in the supernatural. In the natural, the guy's 9 feet, 6 fingers, 6 toes on each hand, foot, got a 125-pound deal and shin guards, and spear weighs 15 pounds. I mean, in the natural, that's it. But supernaturally, just an enemy. We have got to learn how to see things in the supernatural. We have lived so abnormally as Christians for so long that things are all out of whack. For those of you who love to read, grab Watchman Nee, The Normal Christian Life. Watchman Nee, N-E-E, The Normal Christian Life. Unbelievable book. It's one of those that will be like, this has shaped and defined my walk with Jesus. The Normal Christian Life, Watchman Nee. Okay? I didn't mean to plug that, but the point, we've lived abnormally so long. And listen, you cannot live this out naturally. It is a supernatural thing. Okay. So, he didn't see in the natural, he saw things supernaturally. And what he saw was, this is an enemy to the kingdom of my God. All right. So he asked that question, and then they repeated to them what they had been saying. They're still at it, rehearsing the thing over and over. This is what will be done for the man who kills him. All right. Verse 28, when Eliab, David's oldest brother, heard him speaking with the men, he burned with anger at him and asked, why have you come down here? Little sibling rivalry going on. And this is Garrison and Brooks. Why have you come down here? And with whom did you leave those few sheep in the desert? He's kind of mocking him. I know how conceited you are and how wicked your heart is. You only came down here to watch the battle. Really? Now what have I done? Said David. Now what have I done? Can I even speak? So he turns away to someone else and brought up the same matter, and the men answered him as before. What David said was overheard and reported to Saul, and Saul sent for him. You think? I mean, he's hiding. Hey, I heard could somebody go get him? Maybe he can, like, what a weenie. All right. So Saul sent for him, and David says to Saul, let no one lose heart. Now here's David, he's a teenager. He's a teenager going, let no one lose heart, King Saul, on the account of this Philistine. This is interesting. I'm going to chase a rabbit here. This one's a good one. If you listen to this whole chapter, not one time did David ever say his name. Terry and I had a friend that lived catty-corner to us in Texas. He was a bank president, and his daddy was a very successful veterinarian who dabbled in real estate and would buy little pieces of property that fenced with his, and over time accumulated tens of thousands of acres. And they ran cattle and sheep and goats and all kind of stuff. But his daddy, the old man who ended up dying, the vet, he told his son, here's a secret, boy, you don't ever name the sheep. You don't ever name the calves. Oh, come here, Bessie. It's like, because, you name them and tomorrow's going to be served for dinner. Here's the point. The point is, David never gave a name to the enemy. It's like, he's not getting buddy. Oh, it's Goliath. He wouldn't name him. Okay. Verse 32, David says, let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go up and fight. Listen to me. We've lost our fight. Where did our fight go? Where did your fight go, man? Husband, where did your fight go? Men of God, where's your fight? It's time we get our fight back. I don't mean to offend you, ladies. Please do not take offense at this. Listen, guys, we have become feminized as men of God. We've been neutered spiritually. We have. It's time to get our swagger back. I'm not talking about cocky and air. I'm not. But it's time that we go. Listen. Come on, enemy. I want some of you. Seriously. The truth is, the lady sitting next to you is going, please, listen. I'm so ready for you to fight again. I'm so ready for you to fight for me again. You used to fight for me one day. I'm so ready for you to fight for our family again. That's what she's thinking. And this church is saying the same thing. Come on, guys. Let's get our fight back. Okay. One more thing about that. We have got to reject passivity as men. Some of you guys going, you want if I fight you after that? I'll fight. I don't want to fight for them, but I'll fight you because you're messing stuff up here. I wanted to sit on my couch with a remote. Listen, reject passivity. Reject passivity with your wife. Reject passivity with your children. Reject passivity when it comes to the things of God. Come on. That's what I'm talking about right there, G. Let's go. All right. It's a joke. All right. Saul replied, you're not able to go out against this Philistine and fight. You're only a boy, and he's been a fighting man from his youth. David said to Saul, okay, your servant, me, I've been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep, I went after it, struck it, rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them because he has defied the armies of the living God. I mean, you can hear his blood is boiling now. It wasn't Goliath to him. It was somebody who was messing with the kingdom of God. And that caused this thing to rise up in him. It's time, guys, that it's time that something gets to rise inside of us. Okay. The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. So Saul goes, okay, go and the Lord be with you. And this is funny. So Saul dressed him up in his own tunic. He put on a coat of armor and a bronze. Now remember we talked about whose kind of Saul was? So Saul, remember he's down here. Okay, but you're just a boy. Okay, you're going to go? Okay, you go. I tell you what, here, why don't you wear my stuff? And people are going to think it's me. Seriously. He thought, okay, here's a chance for me to, get something back here. He's going, okay, put all this stuff on, and people are going to go, oh, there goes King Saul. There goes the king. David puts it on and goes, I can't wear this stuff. David fastened, let's see, I cannot go in these. This is in verse 39. I cannot go in these, he said to Saul, because I'm not used to them. So he took them off. And then he took his staff in his hand. Watch this. This is maybe one of the most beautiful verses. Watch this. He took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the stream, put them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, he approached the Philistine. Here is the newly appointed and anointed shepherd of Israel. Remember, he's not just a shepherd boy here. He's the newly appointed and anointed shepherd of the people, the children of God. And he's going out to protect the threatened and frightened flock. Watch this. Keep your finger there and turn to Psalm 78. I've got this thing underlined. I got stars. Terry has written something by it. I mean, this has been just such a beautiful verse for us. Psalm 78, verse 70. Psalm 78 is just unbelievable. Anyway, so verse 70. He's talking about God. He chose David, his servant, and took him from the sheep pens. From tending the sheep, he brought him to be the shepherd of his people Jacob. Isn't that awesome? To be the shepherd of his people Jacob, of Israel his inheritance. And David shepherded them with integrity of heart. With skillful hands he led them. Isn't that awesome? Okay, back to 1 Samuel. So he takes his staff in his hand, he chose 5 smooth stones, he puts them in a pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, he approaches the Philistine. And it's almost like he's going, okay, watch me. This is the new normal. Watch me, flock. The king that you used to have, there's a new king. This is how it's going to be from now on. Wow, he stepped up as a man, as a leader, as a king. Listen guys, it's time to step up and go, this is the new normal. It's time to gather your family around, your kids, and go, okay, pay attention. This is the new norm. From this day on, things change. It's different starting today. Okay. Almost done. This is so good. Verse 41. Meanwhile, the Philistine with his shield bearer in front of him kept coming closer to David. He looked over and saw that he was only a boy, ruddy and handsome, and he despised him. He said to David, Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" Because of the staff. And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. "Come here," he said, "I'll give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." David said to the Philistine, "You come against me with a sword and a spear and a javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day," he's bowed up, "this day the Lord will hand you over to me, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. Today I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds of the air and the beasts of the earth, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. And all who are gathered here will know that it is not by the sword or spear that the Lord saves, but the battle is the Lord's, and He will give all of you into our hands." Can you imagine what the children of Israel were thinking when they were listening? Yeah. It wasn't just what the Philistine was thinking. It's like, what were the children of Israel? Where was I? As the Philistine moved closer to attack him, David ran quickly to the battle line to meet him. Where everyone else had run from, David runs to. By the way, he didn't bring 5 stones because he thought he might miss. He brought 5 in case the brothers showed up. There's mentioned 2 other places that I know. I'm still digging around. But there's 2 other places where it talks about the brothers of Goliath. Just for you who are interested in that. 1 Chronicles chapter 20, verse 5. And then 2 Samuel 21:19. And when you look at that, especially if you have an NIV, it calls him Goliath. But if you look at other translations, it talks about, I forget the name of the brother. But anyway, the point is, he didn't bring 5 stones because he thought he would miss. He brought, it's like, bring on your brothers too. Okay. So, reaching into his bag, and this is verse 49, and taking out a stone, he slung it and struck the Philistine on the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. So David triumphed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone. Without a sword in his hand, he struck down the Philistine and killed him. David ran and stood over him. He took hold of the Philistine. Did I say a hold? Man, I've lived in the South too long. He took hold of the Philistine's sword and drew it from the scabbard. And after he killed him, he cut off his head with the sword. He finished him off. I'm going to chase a rabbit here, okay? And this, I don't know where this might end up. I don't know if this will make sense. I want it to. I'm going to try hard. It's one thing to kill something, and then it's another to cut off its head. Okay, watch. Sin. I'm just going to take a few, all right? I don't know anything. I'm not trying to load it up. I'm just going to take some and try to make a point, okay? So it's one thing to go, okay, I'm going to stop this sin. It's another, okay, this sin's going to stop today. It's another to go ahead and cut the head off. Here's one. Let's take pornography. What? You can't say pornography in the pulpit. Pornography. Okay, let's take that. Okay, I'm going to put an end to it. It's got to stop. Okay, then cut the head off. What do you mean? Well, take your computer and put it in the middle of the house. Put it next to your wife's side of the bed. Or throw it out, or smash it, whatever. Seriously, cut the head off. Oh, no, wait a minute. I killed it. Really? Cut the head off then. Cut his head off. Here's one. Get a jitterbug phone. A jitterbug. Isn't that what isn't that what it's called, Eddie? Yeah. Eddie's got one. I tease him. He's got this phone. It's like flip. No, I'm playing. It's normal. But I mean, all you can do is call and receive a call. You can't go online. You can't get the internet. You can't sexting. You know, that's what they call now the texting thing. Seriously, it's unbelievable. Seriously, cut the head off. Here's one, guys. Okay, have your kids or your wife get the mail, so that, you know, the little advertisement, what's it, Victoria's Secret catalog. That way you never get it. It goes in the trash. I mean, hey, I'm out there. I'll just saw myself off. Seriously, guys, you have to cut the head off. You cannot play around with sin. You cannot. It will destroy you. Any kind of sin. He's off of me. How about the women? Okay. All right. Here's both. All right. Let's talk about debt. Okay. We're trying to. Okay. We got debt. We're going to try to get out. Okay. We're going to stop. Okay. Cut the head off then. Cut up your cards. Put them in the oven and make a little deal. I mean, you know, it's like, well, I got to have it just, you know, cut the head off. Seriously. Here's one. How about gossip? I'm trying to make the point. I'm not picking these. I'm trying to get to see a bigger picture. Are you with me? Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Okay? So gossip. Here you go. Get some new friends. Cut the head off. Hey, you know what? I got to do something different here. I don't know what it is, but we've got to learn to finish that off. Does that make sense? You've crossed the line, Pastor. So? Cut my head off. Okay. Oh, man. Okay. So you kind of come up with your own about that. So when the Philistines saw that their hero, the Philistines, not the Israelites, don't confuse, okay? When the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they turned and ran. Then the men of Israel and Judah surged forward with a shout and pursued the Philistines to the entrance of Gath and to the gates of Ekron. They had been waiting for this. Stay with me. This is the most important part, all right? The Israelites had been waiting for this day. Listen, the world is waiting for you and your giftedness to show up. You have giftings that God has anointed you with, that when you received Jesus, the Holy Spirit gifted you with things. God wired you in a way that He has things for your life and purposes and plans, and the world is dying for you to show up with your gift. Let me be specific with you, my brother. The world is dying for you to show up, Gary. A little insight there. That was a love thing. Love tap. Show up. You are a David. You are a king. The New Testament calls us kings and priests. You are a king with anointings and giftings, and there is someone that needs what you have. Somebody needs what I have. Somebody needs what you have. Jack Jacobic, those kids at that high school, it's like, we've been waiting for this day. Isn't that awesome? And you show up with all the weight of who you are, Jack. And you go, be the man. God, you got something in me for these kids. I will gladly lay down my life. And they're going to see what a godly man looks like. And I'm coming with my A game every single day. They're dying for what you bring. And so here they are. Here they are. They're encouraged. They're hopeful again. They have a new vision. There's something to live for today. They're lighthearted and they run exuberantly. Did you hear what that said? It's like the Israelites start running after the Philistines. There's a new bounce in their step. Why? Because the man showed up. He brought his stuff. So bring it. Bring the weight of who you are. Bring your anointing. Bring your giftedness. Flourish in who God made you to be. Step out and stop being Saul and start being David. Understand that gifting thing? Yeah, you do. God deposited things in you. We're not going to get there today. We'll look at it next week. But God has purposes and plans. You are unique. You are rare. You are one of a kind. Again, I'm not trying to be Zig Ziglar. We've got to get this. God has something that He made me. Only I can do. Only I can do what God has. But I got to show up and I got to bring all I got. Are you with me? Seriously. I'm 80 years old. Keep bringing it. We don't get to retire in the kingdom. You keep bringing it because I need you. Tell me what you heard. That's a good place to stop.
Bring it.
Bring it? That a girl? You going to bring it?
Yeah.
Good girl. That away, Elisa. Somebody else, what'd you hear? This is going to be awkward on the internet, that's okay. Somebody else.
Don't back down. The longer you wait, the bigger the foe appears to be.
Good. Don't back down. The longer you wait in dealing with the foe, the bigger he appears to be. Good, Jerry. Somebody else, what'd you hear?
We walk in what we speak.
We walk in what we speak. That a boy. Yes, sir.
Cut the head off.
Cut the head off. What?
Don't name your enemy.
Don't name your enemy. That a girl. Don't give it the pleasure. There.